Welcome to Locating Information in Print Secondary Sources. This brief video will provide you with a basic, repeatable technique for locating information in print secondary sources, aka books, and give you one example of what that technique might look like. Why is this lesson important? The reality is that when it comes to legal research, it's often simply cheaper to own books than it is to continuously pay to repeatedly access the same database for information. So if you find yourself at a firm or agency, you may need to do book research. Also, many practitioners believe that at least for some types of research, using books is actually easier and more efficient. This lesson begins with the assumption that you've already located a print secondary source using the library catalog, for example. Once you've located a source, it's important to know how to access the information contained within. The first thing you should know is that locating material in print resources is different than searching materials online for a couple reasons. First, because print resources are only updated periodically, you'll need to update an entry in the main part of the book or set of books by looking for additional related material in a pocket part or supplement. Second, it's not possible to do a full text search in print like you do when database searching. Instead, you're going to have to use a keyword index or a detailed table of contents to locate information. We'll talk in more depth about those techniques in part 2, but for now, here's the basic 3-step process for searching secondary sources in print, whether those sources be encyclopedias, books, or treatises. First, having identified relevant search terms or keywords, look those up in the resource's keyword index. A keyword index is usually located at the end of a book, treatise, or set of books, if the secondary source is an encyclopedia or a multi-volume treatise. For example, over on the right is a picture of the 5-volume treatise Modern Tort Law. Per usual, the index to the whole set is located at the end. Second, using the reference in step 1, locate the relevant material in the main text of the source. Finally, once you've finished reading the relevant portion of the main text, look to the end of the book or set of books to see if there's a supplement or pocket part. If so, look for the same chapter and section number or topic and section number that contained relevant material in the main source and see if that section is not updated in the pocket part. So let's take a look at a very basic example to see how this works. I'm looking for information, rules, cases, commentary on the tort of intentional infliction of emotional distress as it may occur in the workplace or employment situation. We will be using our 3-step technique to locate information in the multi-volume National Treatise on Torts called Modern Tort Law, Liability and Litigation, 2nd edition. Let's begin by going to the index. So I looked up the term emotional distress in the index. That entry pointed me to the term emotional injuries. Sub-indexed under the main entry emotional injuries is an entry for employment relationships. Once you've located the appropriate term in the index, there should be a reference to where you can find the related material in the main volume or the main part of the book or secondary source. Usually the reference will be to either a topic and section number or a chapter and corresponding section number. Here it's pointing me to chapter 32, section 7. So let's go to volume 4 of the set and look at chapter 32. Here's the first page of chapter 32. Here there is a table of contents for the chapter. Depending on the resource, the table of contents at the beginning of the chapter may provide more detail than the table of contents that covers the entire resource. Here the chapter index just points us to 32.7, so let's go there. Now we move from the index located at the end of the set to the main text. Specifically, we are in volume 4 of 5 at chapter 32 on page 22 of the chapter where section 32.7 begins. This section addresses the law of intentional infliction of emotional distress as it applies in the employer-employee relationship. The first sentence provides the general rule. Following that are other sub-rules and examples. Each sub-rule or statement is followed by a citation to one or more cases from whence that rule was derived. We can use these cases to locate relevant cases within our jurisdiction. We'll talk more about how to do that in sessions on case finding. So now that I've read section 32.7, I'm going to go to the supplement, which for this particular work is located at the end of the volume in which chapter 32 is contained. That would be volume 4. This session was recorded in August 2017. At that time, the 5-volume set was up to date as of June 2017. That's pretty current, but you still want to update your information online. Our next step is to look at the text of the supplement to see if section 32.7 has been updated. So here's the text of 32.7 in the supplement. One important lesson in working with print secondary sources is that you should always check for and read related information in the Pocket Parter supplement. But be aware that due to delays in publication, even the most up-to-date Pocket Parter supplement still lags in time. So we would never suggest that one ends research using only a print resource. Here you can see that the information in the supplement directs the reader to what information is being supplemented or updated. It is entirely possible that a section has been updated, but the updates don't affect the part of the section you are interested in. That's it for this lesson. In part 2 of this lesson, we'll focus on the finer points of using keyword indexes and tables of contents as finding tools for information within secondary sources. See you then.